Have you ever wondered why some people remain sharp, creative, and have perfect memories even after 70, while others seem to fade away? The truth is that brain aging doesn't happen by accident, and traditional medicine often misses the real secret to keeping your mind young, active, and clear. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow the entire series, The Secrets to Vitality. After 60 series, you will discover the simple habit that activates new brain connections in 7 days, the foods that silently destroy your memory, and those that rejuvenate it, how to sleep in a way that literally washes your brain overnight, and real stories of people who overcame forgetfulness without relying on medication. This is more than a lesson, it's a game changer. Watch until the end and discover how to reprogram your mind to live with clarity and joy at any age. He was 93 years old when he looked me in the eye and said something I have never forgotten. If I forget my name one day, that's okay. But until then, I can still write stories that no one else has lived. His name was Alvaro. He was a slow-talking gentleman with an easy smile and a razor-sharp memory. When I met him, he still lived alone, shopped at the corner store, and read 2 books a week. He didn't take brain medication. He didn't use fad supplements, and he never went to a neurology clinic. But then, what did he do? What makes some people reach 60, 70, 80, and still be able to learn a new language, remember details from their childhood, and even teach their grandchildren how to use a cell phone, while others, at the same age, start to forget names, roots, faces, and slowly lose their own identity? The answer, although it may seem mysterious, is simpler and more ignored than you might think. And no, it's not just about crosswords, Sudoku, or miracle capsules. There's a brain secret that most doctors don't tell you, not because they don't want to, but because they haven't been trained to look at the brain as something that remains alive, plastic, and moldable until your last breath. For a long time, we believed that the brain ages like an old machine. It rusts, loses performance, and only gets worse over time. But today, science is clear. The human mind can rejuvenate. Yes, and there are people proving it every day. This episode is about that. About how people like Alvaro manage to keep their brains active, young and vibrant, even with gray hair, even with wrinkles, even with a lifetime of work behind them. And the most incredible thing, without relying on expensive medicines or inaccessible therapies. Let's start with a fact that almost no one knows. The human brain creates new neurons until the end of its life. This ability is called neurogenesis. Yes, it's true. Your brain can grow, adapt, and learn until the very end. But to do so, it needs stimulation, proper nutrition, and something that most people abandon after 60, novelty. The big secret that doctors rarely talk about is that the brain doesn't need rest. It needs real challenges, intense emotional experiences, and real human connections. That was what kept Alvaro so lucid. He wrote letters by hand every day. He taught his grandchildren and great-grandchildren to type without looking at the keyboard. He talked to younger people. He learned new recipes. He never let his curiosity die. But most of us let it. Little by little, the routine becomes narrow. Television replaces conversation. Walks become an obligation. Dinners become silence. And the mind enters a cycle of repetition, which is true poison for the mind. Because the brain that is not stimulated withers away. The brain that is not moved fades away. And the brain that no longer dreams truly ages. In this episode, you will discover what simple foods and habits boost your neurogenesis. After 60, what science knows today about brain rejuvenation. And most importantly, how to create an emotional and practical routine that keeps your mind sharp without relying on medication. But before we get into the practical tips, I want you to know the story of a woman who lost everything, except her clarity of mind. Her name is Judith, and at the age of 68, while grieving the loss of her husband and the arrival of late menopause, she decided to learn Mandarin. Yes, Mandarin. Because it was the language he wanted to learn, and I never wanted to. Now I want it for both of us. Within 14 months, Judith was speaking fluently, not because she was a genius, but because she understood a simple truth. The brain only dies when life stops surprising us. And that's the mission of this episode. To rekindle the surprise inside you. to awaken your brain, to dust off your synapses, and to show that there's still time. Because keeping your brain young is not a luxury. It's emotional survival. It's dignity. It's staying whole while the world changes around you. And it all starts with the first habit, the most ignored and powerful. It costs nothing. It doesn't require a prescription, but it has the power to turn a key inside your brain in 7 days. And that's what we're going to talk about now. It all starts with a simple gesture, changing the path. Yes, it seems too small, but walking down a different street, making coffee with your non-dominant hand, or even brushing your teeth with your eyes closed, all start to activate areas of your brain that have been dormant for years. This habit has a name, breaking the routine pattern. And the most impressive thing is that science has already proven this. In 2006, researchers at the Institute of Neuroscience at the University of London published a study showing that daily cognitive micro-challenges increase activity in the hippocampus, the region directly linked to memory, learning, and emotional control. Do you know what this means? That you don't need to learn the piano at 70 or speak German at 80 to have a sharp brain. Just start with subtle but consistent stimulation, and that was exactly what transformed Mr. Ernesto's life. At 74, Ernesto spent almost every day on the same couch, watching the same shows and following the same routine. After retiring, he felt like all he did was wait for time to pass. His wife noticed that he was forgetting names and dates and would even get lost inside his own apartment building. She was the one who gave the first push. She started by changing his breakfast. Then she suggested that he walk down different streets each day. A week later, she encouraged him to learn something new, Japanese gardening. Little by little, she introduced new songs, new games, and new people into the conversations. In 2 weeks, Ernesto smiled differently. Within a month, I remembered the names of flowers, plants, and neighbors. And within 3 months, he started writing in his diary again, a habit he had lost 10 years ago. It wasn't magic. It was neuroplasticity in action. His brain reacted to the new stimulus with a hunger for life. Because that's how the brain works. It adapts to the environment. If the environment offers novelty, it grows. If it offers repetition, it fades away. And now comes the best part. You can apply this at home, today. Here is a practical 7-day routine to start activating your brain in a gentle but powerful way. 7-day routine, awakening your brain day. 1. New path. Go for a walk down a street you've never walked before. Notice the details. Smell the smells. Notice the sounds. This activates the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. Day 2. Relive old songs. Choose 3 songs that marked your youth. Listen carefully, in silence, and write down what you felt. Stimulates emotional and auditory memory. Day 3. Recreate a memory. Take an old photo and tell the story behind it out loud or to someone. Activates the hippocampus and language areas. Day 4. Eat with the opposite hand. Challenge your motor coordination by eating lunch or brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Stimulates new neural circuits. Day 5. New knowledge. Read something outside of your usual routine. It could be science, art, philosophy. Even if you don't understand everything, this pushes your brain out of its comfort zone. Day 6. Talk to someone you don't know well. Strike up a conversation with a neighbor, a store clerk, a driver. Social interactions create multiple cognitive connections. Day 7. Write a letter by hand. It could be to your future self, to someone who has passed away, or to someone you love. Activates memory, emotion, coordination, and language, all at the same time. This short 7-day cycle reboots the brain. And more than that, it brings back curiosity, the sense of discovery, and the joy of being alive. And if you think this is too small to make a difference, listen to what Stanford University neurologist David Eagleman wrote in his book, The Brain, The Story of You. The best preserved brains I've seen in imaging studies weren't from people who did crossword puzzles. They were from people who learned, connected with others, and exposed themselves to surprise every day. That's what's missing in today's aging. Surprise. And surprise, when used well, is the fuel of neurogenesis. Now that you understand the first secret, let's move on to the second. And this one has to do with what you eat every day. But no one has ever explained to you how it affects your memory. In fact, there is a food consumed by millions of people every day that slowly turns off areas of the brain linked to concentration and mental clarity, and you might be eating it without even knowing it. Have you ever felt mentally tired right after eating? As if a cloud formed over your thoughts and your attention slowed down, as if the day were being lived through a fogged-up window. This phenomenon has a name. It's called postprandial brain fog. And while the name sounds a bit technical, the cause behind it is in the food, behind symptoms such as difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, irritability for no reason, feeling of constant mental fatigue. It could be your daily diet. And we're not talking about overindulging or extreme fast food. We're talking about common foods that seem harmless, but that, over time, slowly shut down the cognitive regions of the brain. The first of them is an old acquaintance. Refined white flour. It's in your breakfast bread. It's in your snack crackers. It's in your dinner pasta. And what exactly does it do? White flour has a high glycemic index. This means that it releases sugar into the blood quickly and intensely, which generates a spike in glucose, followed by a sudden drop. This fluctuation directly affects brain oxygenation. Worse still, studies show that excessive consumption of white flour is linked to low-grade chronic inflammation, which even affects the brain, making it difficult to form new neural connections. Now add this to the second silent enemy, hidden sugar. It's in carton juice, in healthy yogurt, in tomato sauce, even in wholemeal bread. Too much sugar doesn't just affect your memory. It can alter your mood, disrupt your sleep, and sabotage your hormonal balance. In people over 60, the impact is even more severe because your metabolism is already naturally slower. Journal studies of neurology shows that high sugar diets are associated with atrophy of the hippocampus, the key area of memory. In other words, eating too much sugar literally shrinks the part of the brain that stores your memories. But it's not just what you eat, it's also what you don't eat. And that's the key point. Now that you know the villains, you need to know the heroes from your memory. And for that, I return to the story of Dona Elza. She was 65 when she started forgetting where she put her keys, her cell phone, and the names of people at the club. Her son thought it was normal. Her daughter-in-law said it was just age, but Elza felt something was wrong. It was then that she discovered a community-based functional food project at the neighborhood health center. And in 3 months, without medication or magic formulas, she remembered things again. More than that, she felt like living again. What has changed? The food. Below, you will learn about 5 scientifically proven foods that rejuvenate the brain. And the best part is that they are affordable, tasty, and can be found in your kitchen right now. Top 5 Foods to Rejuvenate the Brain. 1. Turmeric contains curcumin, a powerful natural anti-inflammatory that crosses the blood-brain barrier and protects neurons. How to use: sprinkle on scrambled eggs, soups, rice, or teas with black pepper. Enhances the effect. 2. Avocado, rich in good fats that nourish neuron membranes and improve communication between brain cells. How to use: as a puree with lemon or in salads with tomato and olive oil. 3. Sardines or mackerel, natural sources of long-chain omega-3, DHA, essential for preserving the fluidity of neurotransmitters. How to use: baked, in salads or shredded for lunch. 4. Blueberry or purple grape, contains anthocyanins that combat oxidative stress in the brain and increase learning capacity. How to use: in small portions, pure or in natural iced teas. 5. Nuts and seeds, flaxseed, chia, rich in antioxidants, B vitamins, and plant-based omega-3. How to use: sprinkled on fruit, natural yogurt, or blended in a blender. Now pay attention. You don't have to change your entire diet at once, but you do need to start. Just replace one food at a time. Swap your French toast for a turmeric crepe. Swap your soda for blueberry tea. Add a spoonful of avocado to your salad, and watch what happens in 2 weeks. You will notice more clarity when waking up, less forgetting of names and tasks, more emotional lightness, and even a desire to learn new things, because the brain responds quickly when it feels truly nourished. And in the next block, we'll get into the most neglected habit for those who want to keep their mind sharp after 60, but which can be the difference between a tired brain and a vibrant brain. This habit is not on your plate, it's on your pillow. And most people are doing it all wrong. Few people know this, but true brain rejuvenation doesn't happen when we're awake. It happens while we sleep. During deep sleep, something extraordinary happens inside our heads. The brain activates a system called glymphatic, a kind of nighttime cleaning that removes toxins accumulated during the day, including proteins associated with diseases like Alzheimer's. It's as if, while you dream, your brain scrubs every corner, reorganizes files, throws away useless memories, and leaves free space for the new. But there is one detail. This process only happens if sleep is deep, stable, and continuous. And this is where many sin. It is not uncommon to see people over 60 sleeping badly, waking up several times, going to bed late, using their cell phones in bed, drinking coffee at night, and then they wonder why their mind is slow, their memory fails, their patience is short. If your sleep is interrupted, the brain cannot complete the necessary stages to consolidate memory. And what's more, without quality sleep, there is no neurogenesis, no creativity, no clarity. But the good news is that with a few simple tweaks, you can turn your nights into moments of true brain rejuvenation. Getting sleep hygiene, the nighttime routine that restores your mind. 1. Low light after sunset. Use yellow lamps or lampshades. Artificial white light confuses the brain and delays melatonin production. 2. Avoid screens at least 1 hour before bed. TV, cell phone, tablet. They all emit blue light that blocks the onset of deep sleep. 3. Chamomile tea with lavender or mulungu. These herbs are natural sedatives and help slow down the central nervous system. 4. Warm bath in silence. Bathing raises and then lowers your body temperature, signaling to your brain that it is time to sleep. 5. Gratitude journal or bedtime prayer. Write down 3 good things about your day. This clears out emotional overstimulation and reduces nighttime anxiety. 6. No caffeine or sugar after 5 p.m. Yes, this includes coffee, black tea, chocolate drinks, and even seemingly harmless desserts. Getting sleep is so important that those who sleep well have a 30% lower chance of developing dementia, according to a study by Boston University. What's more, people over 60 who get quality sleep have better emotional balance, more motivation, and faster brain reactions. It's not luxury, it's biology, and it doesn't have to be difficult. It has to be a priority. Now that you know the 3 pillars of a young brain after 60, 1. Daily stimulus, breaking patterns. 2. Neuroprotective diet. 3. Restorative sleep. What are you going to do with this knowledge? The answer is in your hands. Your brain is not old, it's just waiting for the next command. The youthfulness of your mind does not depend on your age. It depends on what you decide to do with it. If you've made it this far, you're already a few steps ahead of most. Now, share this video with someone you love. Maybe he or she is forgetting everything, including that they can still start over.